If I had my way, everything would be so nice. This world would be like Paris. No, it would be a paradise. No one would ever have to say, I'm gonna get my wish someday. All one would have to do is say, this is my order, if you may. Welcome to another episode of The School Without Walls. We are pre-recorded August the 12th, 2015. We're located here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Our objective is to inform, educate, and elevate with special emphasis on the family, the African American family, and it's predicated on charity, which is love begins at home. We are not a political correctness organization. We are not just saying things to get votes. We're serious about trying to make a difference. Our theme is Black History after February. We want to encourage, especially the pastors throughout the community, throughout the nation, and as much as we are streaming everywhere, to use your educational building as a cultural center as it was prior to integration and desegregation. I am a little bit tired of the excuse of we need more community centers in our city for our young people during the summer when we have educational buildings all around, and what we need is organization in education in utilizing those buildings that we have. I'm your host and founder of this program. I think I've said that, A.O. Hobbs. Our topic today is the Black family, and my guest today is the Reverend Daniel W. Johnson, pastor of the Allen Temple African Methodist Episcopal Church here in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And before we entertain his thoughts, we're going to talk a little bit about some Black history. The ice cream scooper was invented by A.L. Clairol. The insect destroying gun was invented by A.C. Richard, February 28th, 1899. Then the ironing board, Sarah Boone, December 30th, 1887. And what would we do without a keychain? F.L. Loudon, January 9th, 1894. We're going to stop on this for today and give Reverend Johnson all the time that is required to talk about remedies for the Black family. Reverend Johnson.
Dr. Hobbs, we spoke about what I call the 3 E's. Mm-hmm. We spoke at length on our last session.
Right.
The ecclesia.
Ecclesia.
Which is the church.
The church.
The church is the foundation. It's one of the remedies. Mm-hmm. But I would say that one of the next remedies is a second E, and that E is education.
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 Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say that a formal education always, but education in any capacity.
General education, huh?
General education, and certainly the formal education as yourself, being a doctor, that means you have a terminal degree. Mm-hmm. That's the point of there's nothing left for you.
Okay.
And that's a great thing, and that's what many of us are to aspire. But education in its most broad sense, if we're going to have the family foundation restored, have the family foundation assisted. If we're going to be able to return and repair, education will be key. I'm a product of education.
Okay.
I'm a product of education. My dad was a former farmer's child.
A farmer's child?
A farmer's child. My mother also. They come from a Washita County, a small town. My mother from Stevens, Arkansas. My dad from the next county over, I believe Columbia, but cities that were very close, Mount Holly, Arkansas. And as a farmer's child in the early 1900s, you didn't have a lot of choices.
No.
You either were going to be a farmer yourself, or you would join the military, or maybe you would become an educator if you had hopes of going forward. I'm so happy to say that my father was able to, one, join the military, and two, get an education.
That was your father?
That was my father. My mother also. They both attended University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. My father was able to graduate after he had a successful military career, come here and graduate from this university, go on and become a counselor for the Job Corps in Hot Springs. And so I'm a product of education. In fact, when he came back, I was born, and so I spent time in the nursery here at University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. But I want to say that my first education came from them. Next,
from home.
From home. On what we called at that time, in those days, home training.
Definitely.
That was the phrase, and that how to conduct yourself in school, how to conduct yourself on the playground, how to conduct yourself in society, how to conduct yourself at church. What were the expectations?
Definitely.
And that was the next came the education as we went to the school systems, and they thought it important that we listen and pay attention to our teachers, and that the teacher's word was most times the last word.
Right, respect authority.
Respect authority, and to respect those who had leadership over you. And I'm so glad that that was the initial foundation, because that foundation served me well as I left their home, left there to go to college and other places, and it served very well. And so education is a means by which to enhance and to go forward and go places that you never thought you could go.
It is amazing, isn't it, what the formal education with the foundation, the family education can do for you. We're going to stop on this, and we'll be back just in a few minutes.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Those of you who have just joined us, I'm Dr. Antonio Hobbs, host and founder of this educational program called The School Without Walls. My guest today is the Reverend Daniel W. Johnson, pastor of Allen Temple African Methodist Episcopal Church here in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, located at 1123 South Virginia Street. Reverend Johnson, you were talking about the second E.
Yes, sir.
And that's the education.
We're talking about education. And how education broadens our scopes. It lifts us to places and new horizons. It lifts us in the aspect of, gives us economic power. It lifts us in the aspect of, it gives us knowledge. You can study about places that you never would be. It gives you education about cultures. It gives you a broadening, even in the aspect of to educate yourself in theology or in your area of profession. You should have continuing education.
Definitely, that is so important
things change.
It's continuing education.
Continuing education. So we should have a lifetime of education, a lifetime of broadening, if we're going to live and be productive and constructive in this earth and with the mind and with the body, and to educate ourselves on health, to educate ourselves on the things that are attacking our family, to know what they are.
And all of this starts in the family, right? We're stressing the family.
Yes.
In other words, if the family is properly prepared, it will do the things that you're talking about.
Yes.
And of course, you mentioned your family as a good example. Your people pointed the way for you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And then you were obedient, and that is important too. You were not a rebel.
Yes, sir.
So you've been brought to this point in existence. So we don't want to forget. So let me ask you a question. You raised it in one of our segments. What in the world can we, how can we help the mother that for whatever reason doesn't have a father there for her children? How can we help her?
Well, of course there government and there are programs for subsistence, and there are programs to help in every regard. But we have to help from the ecclesia point of view. We have to help to say that we're available. We are part of that family unit, that we're going to be there, that they can come and that they can fall in the arms of the church, and the church is going to be an instrument to find education, to find opportunities, to help them when it looks like the walls of this world are just caving in on them, to know that God is there with them, but we're there with them also.
Right.
So that's a very, very important thing. And then to encourage them that there are opportunities, and not to stop and not to give up, and just to say that I'm going to live with what I have. There are always new horizons. God says in Deuteronomy that his mercies are new every day.
Right.
And so we have to help people live that out, that God's mercies are new. They're not just new, but they're new through us, through instruments of God.
So you're dealing with, we're still with the third E, no, second E.
Still with the second E.
Education, right.
Second E, which is education.
It moves you to the third E, doesn't it?
It gets you to the third E. There have been many scholars, and some of them in the African American community, W.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, but I would really focus on W.B. Du Bois, who talked about that talented tenth. As if we've seen in the body of Christ that who God is and how God has helped us. We've educated ourselves, and God has helped us to go forward and do things and have vocations and to progress in life. And then the third E is the economics of God.
Economics of God.
Economics of God, not the economics of man that would tell you to get as much as you can
at any cost.
At any cost. As I think I heard the preacher say, Benjamin Hooks said it, a former NAACP, said, "Get all you can all you can all you can get all you can, and sit on your can." Not that one, but the aspect of the economics of God is when you have received, and Du Bois talked about that, you have to give back.
Right.
And that is, we talk about sowing and reaping in the Bible, and those who sow. If we have the knowledge of God and we have the power of God in our lives that has helped us and brought us along, it is our responsibility to live in the economics of God, to sow into people, to sow into our communities, to
so important.
sow into our neighborhoods, to sow into our children, to
Right.
sow all those things that we've been able to receive, to plant and
Let
to,
me stop you right here and
Yes,
ask
sir.
a question. I've gotten confused. Rand, is this the third and final or second?
Second.
Okay, go
Yes,
ahead.
sir.
Go ahead. You continue.
Well, so as we are educating ourselves, there ought to be folks that we can recall and we can remember in that process that have helped us.
I recall,
yes, sir.
man. Look back, so
Yes,
many
sir.
people touched me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And their names that will never leave you.
There you go.
They will never leave you. The Mrs. Hines, for me, the Mrs. Wilkersons, the Miss Ruby Arnold, these people who inspired me,
Right.
the Professor Nolan as a college student, they inspired me to do more than what to Susan Power, my graduate assistant. I was her graduate assistant when I was in Arkansas State. With their kindness, their love, but also their push to see more from you.
We have about another minute on this side. I want you to tell us about your formal education. I meant to do that earlier.
Okay.
I know you graduated from high school, but let's go to college and move up that way.
My education, I was blessed and fortunate to receive an athletic scholarship to go to Southern Arkansas University. While I was there, I was a decent student, and I was recruited by the Army ROTC program, and received a second scholarship. Was able to graduate and ask for an educational delay before I went on active duty, and I went to Arkansas State University. I received a bachelor's in political science at Southern Arkansas and a master's of public administration from Arkansas State. Went and
That's in Jonesboro?
In Jonesboro. Went and served in the military for 22 years. Me and God had ongoing relationship, and God said, it's time for you to go ahead and do. And I acknowledged my calling, and I went to seminary. I attended seminary at the Interdenominational Theological Center at Atlanta, and have been pastoring for the last 8 years.
You received a degree from that
I
institute?
received my Master's of Theology, and I plan to be as you and to obtain a doctorate of theology.
Wonderful,
And so
wonderful.
that would be my terminal degree.
Right.
That would be my ambition to do that.
As one old man told me once, he said, I was driving a Cadillac. He said, young man, I see you driving the last word. I said, the last word, sir? What do you mean? He said, can't get above a Cadillac. So that terminal degree is the last word, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
You've reached the last word as
Yes,
far
sir.
as degrees are concerned.
As degrees are concerned,
That's
but not
what
as far as education.
There you go. You
Yes,
never
sir.
stop learning.
Yes, sir.
That's something we want to stress as we conclude this segment. Young people, the education does not stop with the degree. I'm a living witness. I still enjoy learning. And the more I study, the more I realize there's so much there that I don't know.
Yes, sir.
So we'll be back in just a few minutes to finalize this segment.
The inherent right to work is one of the elemental privileges of a free people. Endowed, as our nation is, with abundant physical resources, and inspired as it should be, with the high purpose to make those resources and opportunities available for the enjoyment of all. We approach this problem of reemployment with the real hope of finding a better answer than we have now.
He's on his way. He doesn't even know that we're here. Is he okay? Please tell me he's okay.
Laura.
Okay, try to call him again.
There's no signal.
Try.
Nothing's working.
Well, just
Everything's
try.
down.
This is so bad. He's out there by himself.
Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan.
You're doing great. We're gonna try this again, okay?
Okay.
Wheels, pedals, handlebar, brakes. Sit up straight, keep your weight in the center, keep your eyes on the road, hands on the grips, butt in the seat. If we feel ourselves falling, what do?
Just keep pedaling.
Good girl. Now remember, it's all about balance and steering. Steer with your hands, steer with your body. Steer into the corners and you stay out of trouble. And the bell's your buddy, so go ahead and ding that. All right, you ready? Here we go. Pedal, honey, pedal. There you go, you're a bike rider.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
We taught him how to hit a baseball. How to hit a receiver. The strike zone. The net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
Those of you who have just joined us, I'm Dr. Hobbs, host of this educational program called The School Without Walls. My guest is the Reverend Daniel W. Johnson, pastor of Allen Temple African Methodist Episcopal Church, known as AME. I said that deliberately because quite a few people don't know what AME stands for.
Yes, sir.
Its name is African Methodist Episcopal. And of course, AME is an acronym. We were talking about the black family, and you've done a wonderful job. And let us conclude by talking about the third aspect of this triune that you discussed. You're conscious of the fact that you're dealing with a triune,
Yes,
which
sir.
means completion,
Yes, sir.
360 degree.
Yes, sir.
So education, without education, none of this is going to work, is it?
No.
You got to,
no.
I mean, economics, I'm sorry. We finished education.
We finished the ecclesia, which
Right.
is the church,
Mhm.
which is our faith.
Right.
And our foundation.
Mhm.
And the second of this triune is education. And I would say the third is economics, but not economics, as we've said, in the sense of getting money. Not economics in the sense of just having money. Because we know there are millions of people who have money, are hundreds and thousands of folks who have money, and it just runs through their hands.
And they're unhappy.
And they're unhappy.
So unhappy, yeah.
God's economics does not work that way. God's economics it's not for our fulfillment so much so as it is for our service.
Definitely.
In God's economics, we're blessed because of all the stuff we understand. We're blessed because of our relationship. But us being blessed is a requirement to serve.
Definitely.
It's a requirement to give.
Definitely.
It's a requirement to impact. It's a requirement to help someone else come up to another level. And to be in that same understanding of the ecclesia, to be in that same understanding of education, to be in that same understanding that when you are blessed and when you do receive, that it is your requirement
and obligation
to serve, to give of your gifts, of your talents, of your blessings to your community and to this global world.
I truly believe that 100%, and I've tried to live what you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Continue.
Well, time. Your time is always at a limit, but your time is probably the most important thing that you can give in this economic triune.
It's a great investment, right?
It's a great investment. Time for your family.
Got 1 more minute. Go ahead.
Time for your community. Time for whatever you so choose where you would serve. But it is a time, and of course, always money is good.
You got to have it.
You
got to have some
it.
money.
It's a part of it.
You got to have some
But
money.
I believe that if you live in this triune, that you don't have to. We used the word righteousness when we started, right?
Right.
Well, I just like to offer the scripture. It says, I once was young, but now I'm old. And I have never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed or her seed begging bread.
That's it.
That is it. So when we talk about seeking that foundation, seeking to repair through righteousness.
Let us stop on that.
Yes, sir.
We have about 2 minutes to conclude, and something that you mentioned earlier that I want to share with the community that I wrote that is biblically founded, the cycles of 7. Every 7 years, according to science, every cell in the body changes in every 7 years. The first 7 years, just 7 of the 7 months that a child is carried in his mother's womb is very essential because he completes his development. The family, especially the black family, needs to understand that by nature, that woman is to be cared for and protected. And many of our young people are not protected when they're in the womb because the family doesn't know that it's important. By that I mean you shouldn't be drinking alcoholic beverages. You shouldn't be smoking cigarettes, certainly that stronger stuff.
Yes, sir.
And you shouldn't be upset because of the lack of the basic needs. Again, that goes back to God's plan where the man needs to be involved. And if the man is not there, then the church takes that place. It's got to happen if we're going to get balance in restoring the family.
Yes, sir.
Now let's fast forward because time is running out. You mentioned something else that I want to point out to the family. If we follow God's plan, in the fulfillment of time, we'll be able to give back to the community.
Yes.
We've got to give back. And of course, that is the cycle. If you follow the cycle of human development from the womb to the tomb, when you're in your late 40s, you're supposed to start giving back.
Yes, sir.
God will bless you well enough.
Yes, sir.
To your education should be behind you.
Yes.
If you follow the plan we discussed, by the time you're 30, your basic education should be behind.
Yes, sir.
All right. Then your next thing is to raise, train those children.
That's right.
The way that God would have them to go. That's about the next 15 to 20 years.
That's right.
And then God will have blessed you by which you can give back your time and some of your money. And we've got to leave it at this. And again, may God bless you, my brother.
Thank you,
thank you for
Dr. Hobbs.
taking your time
Yes,
out
sir.
to
Thank
give
you.
to the community.
And bless you, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
And God will bless you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.